Hi audience, welcome back to Asking Alaskan. This is episode 4. I'm Woodsman 907. With me as always is my producer, Star Driver 907. So this week we can have a sort of a free-form general discussion about Halo, and I'm going to be doing some Forge mode in Halo in the background, the Halo 2 anniversary. I've got this map I've been working on here called Mutineer, which is a remake. It's actually a remake of a map I made in Halo 4 called Mutiny Island. And as a matter of fact, here's the old map. Took some screenshots. This is Mutiny Island. Here, I'll have to turn the camera off for a second so you can see it better. There. You can see here, we got a ship, a rock in the middle, and the island. So this map is on Forge Island. It's one of the free downloadable maps. Well, the only free one that 343 made. And that's a big ass map with 3 islands on it. A big one, a medium one, and a small one. I made this map on a small one here. Oh, my batteries are going dead. That's okay. Turn that off for now. But you can see it's a ship. You know, I made first pirate ship map I made was in Halo 3 in the original Forge mode, and I made that map in Foundry. Turn that on this side. First pirate ship map I made was in. Sorry about that. Here's some more screenshots. This is the back of the map. It was designed as a Dominion map because I always liked Dominion, and the way it was kind of interesting because when Dominion was in the matchmaking, all the maps only had 3 bases, even though the maps are designed to have 5 bases, and it's also designed to have 5 bases in the Forge mode. There's these little terminals. You can't really see it right here. This is where the base is on this map. I actually made this as a 5-base Dominion map. Well, that's right, they can't see my cursor. But anyway, in the back there, the little whale tail, there's a pad. You can see where there's a wraith spawns if you have that base. And then there's some ordnance drop zones. You can't take the wraith out of that little area you see there. But you can shoot over the island and hit sort of halfway into the map. And yeah, see, it's kind of walled off. There's a little route you can take back there to get to the top of the map. If you have a jetpack, you can jump right up there, and then you can use those other 2 jump ups to get up to the top. If you don't have a jetpack, there's that rock around the side. You can just sprint up there, and then on that rock you can see there's a little tiny window. I'm going to show you the interior of the map. You might be able to see it in there. And let's see, next one. Here's the front of the island. You know, obviously I just wanted to have a skull up there. Could not really make the island skull shaped though. Turn that back on. Because I wanted it all to be made out of rocks, and the kind of rocks you get are really limited, and so that was about the best I could do. The eyes there, you can see they're red because there's a one-way shield wall there. You can walk out of the skull from there, but you can't get back in. And you can't tell from this angle, but the bridge there behind the nose, or where the nose is, you can walk behind that. And there's something that spawns there, some kind of weapon, I think a sticky detonator or something. And then you can see there's a turret there on the side. There's another turret on the other side. It's hidden by that tree there. You can't really see it, and that stuff only shows up in Dominion mode anyway. This map is set up for Dominion and also Capture the Flag and King of the Hill, and I want to say Extraction and Team Slayer, obviously. Anyway, this shows you the two routes to getting up on the island. If you're standing on the ground level, even if you have a jetpack, you can't make it all the way there. So this route up here on the left, those purple things there are gravity volumes. So if you're standing in there, the gravity is a little bit lighter, and you can use that to jump up on that one rock, and then you can just sprint up that route on the side. The other rock there, you can reach that with a jetpack if you've got one. And if you don't got one, you can use the gravity volumes to get up there. One thing I found that was kind of interesting in this game, with the Forge mode, these gravity volumes, wherever they overlap, if you've got two gravity volumes overlapping, you can stay in the area where you're touching two of them, and you jump, it'll float you all the way to the top. You can't really see it from this angle, but that's another way how you can get onto that rock there on the right. And yeah, I can't do anything about how high that island is up the surface of the water there. That's just part of the map that was built in, and I had to work with what I got. And I strategically placed those as like 3 trees up there, and they're placed in such a way to give you a little bit of cover from those turrets and whatnot. And that tree on the right I placed there to make sure that people couldn't use their jetpacks to get to the top of the island right from there. Let's see what else. Okay, this is a rock, a central rock in the middle. And as you can see, I've got some things scattered around. This rock down here in the foreground, and there's a turret on there, and there's another base on the rock. I don't know if you can see the terminal or not really. But yeah, you can see on this rock here where the turret is, there's a spot right behind it where the gravity volumes are overlapping, and you can jump up there, and that's the only way to get on top of that spire without a jetpack. And that's so that, you know, when that turret gets destroyed, you can jump up there and repair it. You can see I got a little ghost there behind that rock, and then there's a container there that's supposed to give you some cover for people who might have a sniper rifle up on the island. And there's another spire on the background there. There's no turret on it, but there's a cover thing, that barricade that folds up when you get the base, and then there's also some sticky grenades. And okay, there's another angle, it's the other side of it that you can see under that bottom landing platform. There's a place where you can spawn a ghost if you have the map. And then under the other one there's a turret that's upside down that you also get if you control that map. And yeah, that's pretty much the center of the map. There's an energy sword that spawns up there, and there's supposed to be, if I recall, there's an overshield under that map. And I could give you a tour better if I popped in Halo 4, but then I'd have to switch consoles and everything. So I'm just showing you the screenshots right now. Okay, and here's a little other side of the island. You can see there's another jetpack rock that you can jump up to get on the island. And there's also a Banshee that spawns there in Dominion mode. There's only one aircraft in matchmaking, and that's a Banshee, so I put it in there. And flying around in a Banshee in those gravity volumes is actually pretty fun. It does some kind of interesting things when you're flipping around in it. I don't have any gameplay footage to show you, but we're going to get into Forge here in a minute. This is my favorite part here. We've got the ship. This is the front view. Right there in the front, can't really tell, but there's a spot where the mantis will spawn, and it's stuck there in that little area right about where the reticle is. And yeah, that's the front view of the map. You can see right there uh, under the ship, under the bow there, there's a little man cannon that's put there. I put man cannons around on the map so that uh, sort of to simulate waves on the map. And yeah, there's some they're hidden throughout. There's a better screenshot later that shows you it. Okay, there's the blue side of the ship. We got, let's see what we got here. Okay, you can see starting from the front, you can see on the side there's a turret that spawns when you're in Dominion mode, and then there's several little routes I gave you to jump up there, and there's even a gravity lift in the back. Because when I was playtesting this map with my friends, one friend that just could not figure out how to do the jumps and couldn't get up there, and it was getting really frustrating. So I had to just give him those gravity lifts so he could do it. And of course, if you have a jetpack, again, it becomes a non-issue. You can just jump right up in there. And then, see, you got a little mongoose there, simulate a lifeboat. And then there's another thing there. There's a vehicle pad for a warthog. And if you're standing up there on the side of the ship, you can hit X and then you'll spawn right in there, right on the surface of the water, which is kind of neat. And then I had to put the mongoose in there for when you're not playing Dominion. There still has to be some kind of vehicles on there. And then let's keep going around and show you the back of it. Here's the back. There you got a big propeller there. You can jump up on those, and then you can jump into that back area. You can see there's a kill ball to simulate the engine, and then there's a way to get in there through that shield door there, which again is only there in Dominion, but it's destructible, so you can melee that twice, and then it'll disappear, and you can jump in there. And then what else is there around there? I think there's a rocket launcher that spawns in there somewhere. I think right above where that shield wall is. But you can definitely use those jumps, and you can get in through the back that way. And in fact, I think you can get all the way to the top, all the way to the top deck there. It's been a while since I tried it, but I'm pretty sure you can. There's the back of it. And then here's the other side. This is the red side of the map. I think it's identical to the other side. No, the mongoose isn't there. That must be because it just didn't spawn. But there is a mongoose there, and there's another vehicle pad for a warthog. And then you can see there's another turret over there that spawns on the side of the ship. Acts like the ship's guns. And then let's see what else. I think I got, yeah. Here's the ship from above. Yeah, that front part there, you can see there's a vehicle pad. That's where the mantis spawns. And that little area where it's standing on, I can pretty much only stand right there. Like that little tiny rim, it's enough to completely halt the mantis in its tracks. And there was no other vehicle I could put there that would work as well. The mantis I think would be overpowered if I could have it moving around. Maybe not really, but I like that it's because the mantis, a lot of people don't realize about it, is it's actually an anti-aircraft turret. The original mantises, if you read the books and you read the fiction, the original mantis was just a stationary air turret. They could rotate. They had a chain gun and missiles. And then at the end of, which one is it? I want to say Thursday War is when they first introduced a mantis with legs on it at the very end in like the last chapter or something.
Been a while. I don't.
It was either that one or it was Glasslands, but I want to say it was at the end of Thursday War, because it wasn't in Mortal Dictata. I remember reading Mortal Dictata, and I kept waiting for them to use the mantis, but they never did. So they just stuck it in there in the books. And Thursday War came out right around the same time that Halo 4 came out.
Yeah.
Mortal Dictata came out later.
Pretty much timed that way, I'm sure.
Yeah, and then this obviously I'm taking these pictures in Forge mode. If I had some gameplay footage, you could see how it all goes together. or how it all works when it's being played and it's functional. And then, okay, yeah, here I got those grids, and I set those there because if there's no grids, then you'll just fall straight through the water and die. So those grids are the only area on the map where you can walk without dying, and that makes the gameplay pretty interesting, I gotta say. Is I've got them visible here to show you where they are. You can see there's some rocks that are on sort of the edge of the grids there. And there's some rocks that are kind of outside it a little bit, and those rocks are placed there as sort of safety rocks because, like I said, there's gravity lifts and man cannons all throughout there. I think if I show you the other one, right, and here's basically the same picture but without the grids. And you can, if you look closely and squint, you can see some places where there's gravity lifts sticking out there. There's this one area. I mean, you've got these gravity volumes all the way around there, and that messes with your, that affects the trajectory of the gravity wells. And the only reason I put them there is because in my head they were like this. I wanted it to be like this eerie kind of fog around. And when you're standing down there, you're looking around in all directions. You see purple stuff everywhere. It kind of feels like fog a little bit. It was the best I could do. I found out later you can spawn gravity volumes that are invisible, and I suppose you might want to do that on certain maps. But for this one, I wanted to be able to see them. And also, you can see there's a few places where they overlap. Some of them are taller than others. That's by accident. Some of them, I I put them too far under the surface of the water, and I couldn't get back under there to grab them and delete them. I would have had to just delete all of them, and I didn't feel like doing that. But yeah, this is what the map looks like the rest of the time. So you have no idea where the grids are. I'll just go back to the other one and show you again. So yeah, that's where the grids are. And you can see in that jump up to get up to the island, there's some risk there. If you don't make the jump just right, you can fall through and die. And then, yeah, there's places around the ship, and they're not even, so you gotta kind of just sort of remember it and kind of stay close to the rocks and stuff if you can. But yeah, when you're driving around in warthogs and mongooses and stuff, there's plenty of chances to fall through. And it's really exciting. For me, anyway, I always like it. I always laugh when I get killed that way. And yeah, it does happen to me, even though I'm the one that made the map. Anyway, here's the top of the island. That marker on the top of it is, I think that's a hill for King of the Hill. But you can see there's a way you can drop down to the interior of the skull. You can get up there on that little bridge, and you can jump up in there. And then that's where the sniper rifle spawns on this side of the map, so you can get up there and stand on the highest point of the map and do some sniping if you feel like it. It may sound overpowered, but you do have to snipe from a distance, which in my experience, most people who use snipers are better at close range with them. And there's also a sniper rifle that spawns on the ship, and there's basically no cover when you're standing up there. So, I don't know, I think it's sort of even, but I never really play tested it. The most people I had to play test this map was 3 people, and, nobody especially keen on sniping. Uh, So I don't know. I mean, of course, it's a 5-base Dominion map, which means it would never show up in matchmaking anyway, so it's not that big a deal. And then there's a few more. Here's that shows you where the sniper spawns. This is the top interior of the skull. You can jump across there and land on the kind of eyebrows. Not much to do there. But like I said, there's a sticky detonator that spawns somewhere around here too. And then this is the inside of the skull. You can see there's some spawn points, and that's where the terminal is. And there's a way to walk in through the back there. There's a shield wall, and yeah, it's a good place to, if you like camping. That's a beautiful place to spawn. Yeah, you can see there's another hill marker right there, and this is where red team spawns. Okay, here's a closer look at the top of this rock. Here you can see the terminal. You can see where the Banshee spawns. There's definitely an energy sword around there somewhere. Yeah, that little red speck. I don't know if you can see it on the stream or not, but that's where the energy sword spawns. And you can see there's sticky grenades over there on that rock. Yeah, and you can use the gravity volumes to jump up there, even if you don't have a jetpack, and you can get some sticky grenades in. Also, there on the bottom, it's a little bit hard to see, but underneath the Banshee, there's another ordnance drop, and that's where the overshield spawns. I think it just spawns once at the beginning of the game. No, no, I don't know. I think it is. It's it's on a timer. I don't really remember. And then, oh yeah, this is good. Here's another one that lets you see how you can jump up from this side. If you're walking up there from the back there, you can just walk straight up the side of the rock. But on this side, you have to use some jumps and get up there that way. And there's some Covenant weapons that spawn there behind that crate. Like I think there's a beam rifle, and then it spawns in later at something else, like a concussion rifle or something. I don't really recall. Put some shield doors up there for a little bit more cover, and you know, because again, there's a guy on the island usually with a sniper rifle. And then what else do we got? Okay, here's the grid. Those are those safety rocks. There's one of these man cannons will jump you right onto those rocks. And then you see there's a rock with a ghost. There's a rock there in between the grids. And then see, it's a little bit harder to tell, but this rock over here.
Remember, they can't see your cursor.
I know they can't see my cursor. I should fix that for the next stream. But there's over here where it says player mode, right where the P is, that's where the Spartan laser spawns. And yeah, there's a ghost there. I said that. I might have a better picture of that. Okay, here I did this one. That little cylinder there is where the mantis is, and it cannot get out of that area. Trust me, you walk up to that little I mean, here it is. It's a turret, an anti-aircraft turret, and they went to all the trouble of putting legs on it, and it can't step over shit. And I tried everything. Trust me, if you're in a mantis in there, you're not going anywhere. And it's just a part of the ship. It's a anti-aircraft gun right there in front. I think it's great. Yeah. Also, there's a hill marker in front of it there. That little blue arrow. And yeah, even if you use the mantis stomp, that doesn't help either. You can lift that thing all the way up above a Spartan's head, but you can't walk over that little 1 foot high little gap there. It's astonishing, but that's how it is. And again, that pad that it's on is only there in Dominion mode. So when it's not there, you can just jump straight down into the interior space of the ship. And then as you can see here from this angle, there's a snipe nest behind it. You can jump up and get onto the deck. There's some spawns around here. There's some cover that pops up. The ship really looks a lot better in Dominion mode when you're playing it. And then I should mention there's 2 bases on the island. I don't know if you caught that. There's one on the outside in the first screenshot. And then there's one on the interior. There's also 2 bases on the ship. And that's why the map is called Mutiny Island, because there's 2 bases on the island and 2 bases on the ship. So theoretically, both teams could control the ship at the same time, which in my mind makes it kind of like a mutiny. And you know, it's the same thing on the island. You know, it's called Forge Island, so I said, yeah, it's Mutiny Island. You know, and let's see, do I have any more? Yeah, oh yeah, here's the interior of the ship. This is the brig, and here's I'm standing there with my battle rifle. There's a little staircase that goes up into there in the upper space of the ship, and then here's the same pic but with the shield door up. There's actually 2 shield doors there. One of them is, and one of them for each base that's on the ship. So, you know, the way the shield doors work is if you're on the team that controls that base, you can walk right through. But if you're on the other team, you have to destroy that shield door before you can get through. So if you're stuck in the brig here and you want to get out, you know, it doesn't take that much damage to get through it, but you have to melee it 4 times if the other team controls uh, both of those bases. Then you'd have to get through it. And let's see, what's the next one? Almost done here. What is that? Oh yeah, this shows you the jump ups on the routes. There's in the foreground you got the turret, and then you can jump up there. You can jump up onto that first little block and then onto the second one, and then you can jump up onto those pipes or on top of this block right here. And you can see there's similar jump ups in the back, but even with all this shit, my friends still couldn't figure out how to get up there, which is why I've got that man cannon back there that's not even attached to the ship. I can't even explain it, but it's there just for people who aren't good at jump ups and also refuse to use a jetpack. And let's see, over here, here's the back jump ups. No, that's the same thing on this side. Yeah, that shows you where the mongoose is, and down there where the warthog is. You can be standing up here on the top of the deck, and you can spawn straight into that warthog. There's an invisible cylinder that you have to be standing in, and you have to hold the X button for a second, and that'll spawn you inside the vehicle. And at that cylinder, it's invisible, but it goes all the way up. It's invisible on this screenshot, but it goes all the way up there. So you can just stand on the edge there, and you'll spawn in the warthog, and you can just take off. So there's that. Okay, here's the back deck. This is where one of the bases is. It's up there on the top, right under where my shield is, where my energy shields are. You can see if you squint, there's a terminal there, and then you can drop down there into the back part of the deck. And there's some ordnance that spawns up here. And you can see there's some routes to get around. There's some cover that pops up. Some neat stuff. And just get through the last of these. Yeah, that's where the sniper spawns, inside that little bunker. I guess I don't have as many screenshots for the interior side of the ship, which there really isn't that much going on in there. But there's another shield door that you can destroy to drop down. Inside that bunker there, where you can see there's a hill marker for King of the Hill. That's where the other base is on the ship. And you can see in there's some spawns. This is where blue team spawns initially. And then I think that's about it. Yeah, that's all of them. Here's the map I'm going to be working on here. It's a screenshot I took a while ago. This is Mutineer. This is the new map I'm going to be making. I don't really need the screenshot anymore. Let's just get into it. So I just showed you those screenshots so you could see the map I was working on. And sorry, just had to mute that. I had to mute that because it was causing a feedback loop. Okay. As you can see, this time I opted for scorpions instead of a mantis. My batteries again. And the island's a lot better this time. It doesn't look like the screenshot, I know, because I worked on it more. A little bit hard to tell, but the ship is about twice as big as the last one. You can see I got a hornet there. Got some stationary scorpions. They're actually way better than the mantis in pretty much every conceivable way. These are Halo 2 scorpions, which means you can operate the cannon and the turret at the same time. And then you can see I got a gun goose here for your lifeboat. And again, there's a red side and a blue side, and the stuff in the middle is purple. And yeah, there's a lot going on here on this map, just on the ship. And then you got the skull pretty much done. You can probably tell it's There's a banshee in there. There's a wraith down there. I'm sticking to probably mostly covenant stuff on this side. There's a little ghost down there for now. This is a work in progress, so all this is subject to change. The most recent thing I was working on was this part, which is I'm gonna call the jungle. Yeah, here's the island up close. There's no shield door big enough to cover both of these eyes. It's another way I know that this map is way bigger. Until I got some routes built in there. There's a way to get into the island back here. So yeah, instead of just narrating what you can see here, because this map is a work in progress, any of this stuff might change. Yeah, there's the wraith. Can't take it out of here. I always like to build wraiths and vehicles in a place where you can't move them, because that makes you think about how to use them differently. There's another way out. So yeah, like I said, instead of just me showing you the map, you can see for yourself what's going on. This is a 2-hour broadcast. I've already spent half an hour just talking about the first one. Obviously, this one's going to be a lot better. I haven't done any scripting yet. Well, I've done a little bit of scripting, but I haven't tested it. There's a lot of more stuff to go, but this week's episode is actually supposed to be a general discussion about Halo. And Star Driver hasn't had a chance to say anything yet.
Well,
So
no, you asked me. I mean, we could talk a lot about Halo, and you asked me a specific topic to talk about, at least for a little while. And I know that you've been working on this Forge map, and for me, Forge has always been a big part of my Halo experience, especially in Halo 4. Forge came out with Halo 3 along with Theater, and I dabbled in it a little bit, but let's just say it was, for me, it was a bit frustrating.
oh yeah, Forge mode in Halo 3 is a pain in the ass. There's a reason I'm not doing this in Forge mode or Halo 3 on in the Master Chief Collection, because there was, even with its limitations, there were some people that made some pretty interesting stuff. Like,
Well,
you'd be surprised, but none of the cool features of the Forge mode, like phasing, basically none of this would be possible in Halo 3. I wish I could show you the map, the pirate ship map, my original one. It's called Pirate Ship. I made it in Foundry. I don't know if you guys remember that map, but it's an indoor map. And I just made, I took a bunch of those open containers, put them side by side, made that into the hull of the ship, and I used some walls, and I pointed it, and it was a really piece of crap. But I did have, I had gravity wells in the bottom.
it was kind of neat, where you had the man cannon, so where that when people went into the water, they kind of like...
Yeah, you bounce around, because I had ghosts on the map. There's only 2 vehicles you could use on that map, ghosts and mongooses. And I had a ghosts for lifeboats, and you could get in those, and you'd get around and you'd fly around. It was kind of neat. And also, the containers that I had for the sides of it, I filled those up with fusion coils.
Yeah.
And I put a bunch of wood pallets on the top, and you could shoot the side of the map or throw a grenade on it. Oh yeah, this is the volcano that I'm working on. I wanted to put a volcano in the first map, but I couldn't. You can see there's a banshee down there, and there's lava, and an energy sword. This is the one part of the map that I was talking about earlier that was scripted. And basically, those spheres you see there on top are called explosion volumes. And they'll explode if they're triggered. And the trigger for them is right here. you can't really tell, but there's this sphere here. Basically, if you jump down here, you've got 10 seconds before all of these explosion volumes will go off. So, and the only way out of there is to grab that Banshee, you probably guessed. It won't work in Forge mode. You have to be playing a game. But obviously, if you miss the jump, then you're going to hit those kill balls and you will die. I really wanted to do a volcano on Mutiny Island, but you know, you probably saw the budget for that map was completely used up, and there was just no way to do a volcano. This is what I was working on this the other day, and it's just fucking great. And I put the Heretic Banshee down there because you're supposed to jump into the volcano and die. Still, you could be a sacrifice. So if you get in that Banshee, you must be a heretic because you're using it to fly out of there. And then I use the energy sword there, the infected one, which is actually pretty neat. And also, for me, raises a lot of questions. See if I can... Yeah, okay. I like the way it looks. It's really nice and shimmery. Makes me wonder if they're going to use that texture in Halo 5. Maybe unlike some of the Prometheans, and maybe they'll get corrupted by the logic plague, which is what corrupted Mendicant Bias. Anyway, so yeah, I would be dead by now if this was an actual game. Then yeah, you can get in there. The only way out is to fly out.
Why is it smoking? Is that what it does?
I don't know if it does that by default. Okay, anyway, since I spawned here on the ship, I'm going to go ahead and look around here. Here's a nice interior side of the ship that the other one did not have. This is going to be a spawning zone. Probably put some, I don't know, some battle rifles, some SMGs around here, some weapons. Okay, I'm not supposed to have to crouch to do this. But you can get up there. There's this part here. See the island. Little windows there. Anyway, I'm narrating the map again. I'm just gonna walk around and you can see for yourself all the stuff that's here.
Well, you know, I was going to say that you made that pirate ship. You never told me how much trouble it was, and that got me all excited. So I said, I'm going to go and I'm going to make me a map. And I remember I was just trying to line up two walls.
Oh God! Just get them even. Yeah.
And it took me like half an hour, and I just said, you know what?
Yeah. Yeah. All the physics were set to what's called normal in this one. In this one, you've got phased, fixed, and normal. Phased is what I've been using to make most of this stuff. You can see how there's blocks that are phased into each other. And then there's fixed, which means that it does the same thing, only the pieces are solid. And then there's normal, where when you drop something, it just drops to the ground.
Now, did the phasing start with Reach?
Yeah. Yeah, all of the stuff started with Reach. The only stuff that's new is the scripting. And the magnets started in Halo 4, but I don't use the magnets.
No, wait. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, the magnets definitely started in Halo 4. It's pretty much their only new feature.
That was the new feature.
That and a green screen they added.
Yes. Which I'm not aware that that's ever been used.
It's been used, not in matchmaking, not in any maps like this. That's for people who do machinimas and stuff.
But, Reach, I attempted to do some forging on in Forge World because they had a spot in Forge World, a call out called Alaska.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and
It's been a part of the map that almost never got used.
yeah, I was going to claim that as mine, and I was going to build an impenetrable fortress and dare people to take it. But I guess during that period, I didn't have a whole lot of free time, and I never really got the chance to sit down and work on that. Um, and so when Halo 4 came out, um, and life circumstances changed again, and I had more free time, or made more free time, any way you want to look at it. I saw this map that was, I think it was created for an AGL tournament. It was
Oh, yeah, Impact.
yes.
Yeah, that was one of the DLC maps. And they used it in AGL. I don't think it was made specifically for that.
Well, I saw that map, and then I made one of my own, and it didn't turn out like I expected, which made me go into the details and learn exactly how you line things up and using the grid and how to make the magnets work for you and all that stuff. And I actually made several maps that I thought were pretty good, but they were all big, huge maps, and I had a lot of fun making them. Halo 4 being what it was, trying to get people to play was an issue.
Yeah,
Because the population was steadily dropping, and trying to find people that I used to play with to get them to come and play Halo 4 was that was pretty tough, and just going into matchmaking and going into custom games and trying to get people to just come in randomly and play, that wasn't working either. So I worked on a few more maps, and then just pretty much dropped out of Halo 4. But there were two maps that I made that I was really proud of, and I don't know if it's possible to fire up the 360 and see if I can still access them or
yeah,
not.
you can still access them. They'll be on your profile. The reason I can't access my Halo 3 one is it was saved on the hard drive, and I never put it in my file share. If I had, I'd be able to show them, but
well, these two maps, I put them out there for anybody to download, and I don't know if anybody ever did, but they were both 5-base Dominion maps. I had a thing about Dominion in that the game was designed to have a maximum of 5 bases, and I really wanted to do that. So I made these on Forge Island. I keep mixing Forge World and Forge Island up, but it was on Forge Island, and I used all 3 islands and made 5 bases, and it was pretty tough because, again, the budget didn't give you a lot to work with, and the one I'm most proud of, the name of it is Leap of Faith. And I call it that because I was in the forums, and there was a discussion about, I don't even remember what the discussion was about, but someone mentioned that with teleporters, um, things come out of a teleporter with the same amount of energy that they went into a teleporter. And I said, that's interesting. And so I went into Forge World and I set up a teleporter um, on the big island, at the base of the big island, and then another teleporter next to it, the exit teleporter. And I jumped off the island, dropped into the one teleporter, and then popped out of the other one, and I believe I made it all the way back up to the top of the island. And I said, wow, what can I do with this? So I made this race game where 3 times the game features either warthogs or there's warthogs, or there's there's warthogs, there's ghosts, and mongoose, and there are some jumps you run, and you run off the jump and you jump right into a teleporter, and you pop back out somewhere else on the map, um, and the teleporters where you jump, and right at the end of the arc where you're jumping, that's where the teleporter is. So you got a lot of energy behind you. Um, First off from the jump, and then from what you gain from the fall. And so when you come out at the other end, that teleporter just throws you out there, and you just make this big long jump. And usually there's just a small spot where you can land. And I found out that while you're flying through the air, you can kind of steer a little bit. And so you can nail those landings. And and I also made it so that if you missed, you would fall into another teleporter and come back somewhere, so that because if you fell into the water on Forge Island, you'd die.
Yeah.
And that would take all the fun out of the game. So I just made it so if you fell in the water, there was an area there where it would just pop you back someplace so that you can take another stab at the jump. And it worked pretty good. The people that I did manage to get into a game in there, they kind of liked it. It still needed some work, and I never did any of the little precision tweaks that it needed, but it was a lot of fun. And so my Halo 4 experience was really split between Spartan Ops and Forge Island. And I haven't had a chance to Forge and Master Chief Collection, but I'm liking what I'm seeing.
Yeah, there's a lot of this Forge mode is definitely better. I mean, I've already done pretty much everything you see on this map is you can tell it's way better, way bigger. Even though you don't have sprint, that's not even a hindrance at all. And lots of stuff to do. You do your player speed and your character movement. You can walk right up the sides of this volcano here, which I'm not sure if you could do that in Halo 4. I want to say maybe you probably could, but one nice thing is these mirrored pieces. There's a lot of pieces that are asymmetrical that you couldn't that I couldn't use on Mutiny Island
but
because
that was,
I was trying to make a symmetrical ship. I couldn't use like a ton of these pieces, like these staircases, these towers,
yeah,
a ton of stuff. Well, having the mirrored pieces, I was able to make this a lot better. And then also, this volcano here is made pretty much exclusively out of these cliffs. Large ones, mediums, and small ones. It's about the only thing I could think to do with them, but it sure worked out. I mean, I was able to make this really big volcano. I don't know if you remember from the screenshot, but the one I made originally was way smaller than this. Still looks kind of small with this because you can't see the whole thing from the front. And of course I got this, I'm using one of these cliffs as a bridge here to connect that to the skull. Anyway, there's that and all these terrain pieces that you can use. And also, like you said, on Forge Island you fall right through the water and die. And I guess that was one of the things that people complained about, because here's this island, and the whole point of that island was because, in Reach, you had Forge World, which was this amazing, huge, biggest map ever, and it was actually 5 different maps all stitched together into one. It was just incredible, but but people would, they'd still complain because they wanted a nice, even, flat surface, really large scale flat surface to work on, and that's where Forge Island came from. There's 3 anvil shaped islands, completely flat on top.
and featureless.
Yeah, and I saw all that. I only made one map on Forge Island, and you can see what it was. They did this contest or something at some point to get maps for matchmaking. It was a Forge Island contest. You had to make a map on Forge Island, and pretty much every single map that they picked were all on the big island, and they pretty much used the whole space. And they didn't make big team battle maps though. They made 4v4 Slayer maps on the big island, and 4v4 maps are too easy for me, man. They're boring, Like I saw those maps and I'm like, yeah, big deal. It just looks like another matchmaking map, Where's the originality? Where's the art? Where's the creativity? So I went in there and like I said, I had made one pirate ship before in Halo 3. I didn't do any Forge in Reach because I just well, for one thing, I didn't really appreciate how great the Forge mode was. Then I went into Halo 4 because they had trees, right? And I thought, okay, maybe I can use these trees to make a pirate ship that looks like it's wooden. And I tried that. Obviously, it didn't work out. It didn't go too far because there was only one tree that had enough visible bark to make it convincing, and the tree budget was not sufficient to make it work. So I just said screw it and made it out of foreigner structure pieces, same as I did here. And I do not regret that one bit because this is way better. But anyway, that's how I got started doing that pirate ship map, and it ended up just kept going from there. And also I wanted to make a Dominion map because I went in and I learned how the Dominion scripting works. The nice thing about this map, in Halo 2, since you've got scripting, you don't need the Dominion settings because you can pretty much just make the map do whatever you want just by building into it, which is nice because that way I can do all the cool stuff and have it in every game mode instead of just one. And but yeah, that's why I started doing this map early, because it wasn't until around, I want to say like April or something, when they started that. And I know eventually they're gonna do a Forge contest in the Halo 2 anniversary.
If they're not planning on it, they should.
They will. for one thing, there's only 6 maps that came with the game, and they're working on a 7th right now, and that gets old real fast, especially considering every last one of those maps has been remade. You know, and also, there was Forge. Community created Forge maps has always been part of Halo ever since there's been Forge. They did them in Halo 3. They did them in Reach. They did them in Halo 4. They're definitely gonna do them in Halo 2 because, they want to see the maps that we make. They want to see how we use Forge.
Well, I wonder.
What?
I wonder if they want to see the maps that we make, because I don't know. That's been kind of an issue since 343 took over. Because Bungie, they encouraged Forge, and there were several player-created maps that ended up in matchmaking. That didn't happen in Halo 4.
Yeah, well, it did. They did that Forge Island contest that I was just talking about, and I suppose that was really about it. But there were maps that made it in, that made it into matchmaking. Can't quite recall the names of any. Don't really remember playing them. It's like, well, they're all really just sort of generic. They're all pretty much at the same sort of theme, which was 4v4 Slayer.
I think of Griffball, which was
It was a community playlist.
yeah. Well, that was a player-created game. Bungie didn't make that game. Of course, it's based off of Red versus Blue, which is some people that were no way affiliated with Bungie, and they created the character, they created the premise for the game, and I'm not sure if they actually created the arena.
Yeah, they created the whole thing.
Yeah. Okay. So and that became part of Halo, and is to this day.
It's changed a lot, but it's still there.
Yeah, it's been messed with a bit, but it's still there, and that sort of thing has not happened since.
Well, I don't know. It sort of has.
Well, look at the new games that have come out. Ricochet, who made that?
343.
Okay. What other new games have they got?
Well, they made that Mongoose race thing. But as far as custom games, let's see, they had that thing called Turkey Ball or something. I don't remember what it was. I never played it. It was something stupid. The other new game types were Dominion was one, and Extraction was another.
Yeah. It was all 343, and I just know that the community was out there making all sorts of trying to make all sorts of new custom games, but like for instance, the race games. There were a lot of race games that were made in Reach because it was fairly easy to make one. Turns out, because they turned a bunch of stuff off in Halo 4, even 343 couldn't make a decent race game.
Yeah, that's true. Well, it's sort of true. They made Mongoose Race. Well, they had Rocket Race all the way back in Halo 3.
Right.
And then there was just a custom game, but it was a territories game.
Right.
And they took territories out of, and then of course in Reach, Rocket Race was just part of the game. They made a whole specific game type just for that. And then in Halo 4, they got rid of territories for some reason. And then after the fact, they tried to make a racing game. There was a big problem with that. Well, there was join in progress in that. I mean, who would ever want to join in progress in a race game? I mean, you're racing. If you join late, you're gonna fucking lose. I mean, that's so.
Yeah, because all the vehicles all move at the same speed. So
Yeah, if there's somebody who's a few points ahead.
and then the other problem was the map that they did it on. Um, there were like a million different paths you could take in the
Yeah,
map.
there's no real official route.
Yeah, and people go in and unintentionally get turned around. And then they get so frustrated because they were turned around that they just start messing with everybody else in the game. And
Yeah.
it just became a big grief fest.
The idea to use these gravity volumes to make it look like the volcano was smoking. Sorta. Have to use a lot more. But yeah, the rocket race game type didn't work so well.
And see, and the race map that I made, I used Dominion settings. And the way it worked was you get to a base and take the base, and that would turn on a bunch of shields all over the map, and that would make all the other players have to go around them or either take them out or go around them, which would mean that either way that would slow them down. And so if you took all the bases, you would have the most direct route in the game, because the shields wouldn't stop you, so you could just go. And so that's what you want it to do. And I thought it worked pretty well, but again, I don't know if enough people, well, there just weren't enough people playing the game that had enough interest to play the map, I'm sure. So, but that I also designed it so that because what was happening in the other race game was that after people got ticked off, they just turn around and run the race backwards to get in other people's way and tick them off. So I designed the map so that you couldn't do that. Just the terrain in the map just made it pretty much impossible to run the course backwards. And I also kind of engineered it so that it was not easy. And what the other thing they would do is there would be choke points in the game, and people would just drive their mongoose up to the choke point and just park it there, and you couldn't get around. So I just made it so that it was pretty much impossible to do that. I did everything I could to make the game grief resistant. Anyone that's determined to grief a game is going to figure out a way to do it. But um, I thought I did the best I could. Again, um, when you're making the game, it's easy to think that you got it right, but the only way to test it is to get someone else in there. Because the first thing they're going to do is
Look for exploits.
Yeah.
Try to break the map, which is what you want them to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but there's something here. There's definitely a way to get this done. But see, what I was gonna do was use those gravity volumes to make a storm, an artificial storm out here, sort of up above here. But well, for one thing, this map already has fog on it a little bit. You can see it's foggy already.
Yeah, that's something that people have been asking for is environmental. You know, like you can have a game where you can, well, first off, day and night.
They had that. They had this as a special effects thing in Halo 3 that you could put out on the map, and it would make it nighttime.
Yeah,
They don't have that anymore.
and
They
then
got these,
people want it to like rain or snow.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. They've got all these. They got this one makes it black and white. Next gen. Let's see, Nova. None of these ever get used.
yeah, I don't even understand
They're for
people.
screenshots.
Yeah,
Let's see, that one makes it look cool, but you can't see shit.
yeah.
It's these are all for just for screenshots and maybe machinimas. But actually, when you use, I was going to use that one and this one. Is kind of makes it look like it's raining a little bit. But then it does that, and you can tell it's supposed to be like an old film thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Just work with what I got. But yeah, I wish there were like there's trees and there's terrain and there's no weather really. Um,
Well, at least they got different trees because
yeah.
one of the not really an issue, but kind of a nitpicky thing was the the trees that they had in Forge Island. Forge Island looked like it was a tropical area.
And then they had pine trees.
Yeah. And so at least here they've got palm trees, which look like they actually belong
They've also got the other kinds of trees too. They've got like two different kinds of pine trees. They're deciduous tree. Here.
But I guess it goes without saying that as good as the gameplay is in Halo, um, the addition of Forge and Theater in Halo 3 is probably what pushed that game right to the top and kept it there. A lot of people like to say it was the competitive aspect of the game, but to me, the only way that competitive aspect was allowed to shine was because of custom games and what you could do in Forge.
Yeah, it definitely is
a big part of it. I'm not claiming that was the whole thing or anything, but Bungie just said, if you don't like the settings that we gave you, here you go, make your own.
Well, for one thing, that was the only way they could do the MLG stuff. That was custom settings.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of the maps that were made, a lot of the Forge maps they made were just remakes of the other maps. I mean, you go and Reach in the Forge mode, and even to this day in Halo 4, a lot of those structure pieces you see over there come right out of other maps. Some Halo 2 maps, some Halo Combat Evolved maps. Not a whole lot from Halo 4. See, I made the Mutiny Island map in Halo 4, and then after that, I said, okay, I'm going to take everything I learned, I'm going to go back into Reach, go into Forge Island, and make an invasion map, because I always liked playing invasion. And that's when I discovered that all of these amazing structure pieces that I was using in Halo 4 were already available in Reach. So if I had spent more time in Forge mode and Reach, and the only thing that was new in Halo 4 was the magnets and the Dominion stuff, and the map would have been better in Invasion, and the magnets I didn't use at all in the map, so I could have done it all uh, in Halo Reach, and it probably would have ended up better. I did go back and I made one ship, so that means I've made at least one ship in every Forge mode so far. And yeah, but this map is by far the best work I've ever done, and it's not even close to finished. Like I said, I still got a lot of scripting to do. Gotta figure out this though. Really want to see that the problem is you can't tell it's a volcano unless there's smoke coming out of it. That's just the way it is with volcanoes. It's got to, otherwise it just looks like a big old mountain. And of course, I got those things down there. I don't know how well they work. For all I know, you might be standing on the outside and get damaged by those, but I don't know. And I also, I've got them timed for 10 seconds. So 10 seconds after you enter this trait zone, which is right about the top of it is right about even with this. 10 seconds after that, these will go off, and I don't know if that's enough time to get in the Banshee. You don't have to grab the energy sword to get out, but it's kind of bait. But if you,
as long as you're there, I mean,
yeah, if you're in here, you're gonna try to. It's not that hard to hit this rock. This is a big rock. It's not that hard to hit it. In fact, I might end up moving it. Although I can't move it because then, well, I could. See, the thing is, this is triggered on stay, so you have to stay in this area for 10 seconds, and then that triggers these to go off. So if you get down here and get outside of that area, like actually I suppose if you were standing right here, you could prevent that, and then maybe you could even get out and jump back in, or I don't know, probably have to fix that. But you can't test the scripting in Forge mode, and I haven't play tested this yet.
see, now this just makes me want to go in and recreate Leap of Faith. I mean, I don't have, 3 big odd islands to work with, but I can make my own islands. So.
Yeah, like that did take me a little while to get into this Forge mode, because you start with this blank slate. Because then I was a little bit discouraged because I was like, oh man, I gotta make the island, and I've never done an island from scratch before. I came in here, I started making that ship, and of course, that was the easy part. Making the rest of this island was the hard part. I just one thing that's nice is I got the ship facing towards the island, which bugged me about it in the previous game. So I had the ship it was facing the same direction, but the island was over here, which means that if you're standing on the island, you can only see the red half of the map, or the red half of the ship, and it looks like the whole ship is red. There's actually a red side and a blue side. My only regret here is that the sun is on that side, so that side's lit up, and this side's in the shade. But you can still tell that it's red and blue and purple down the middle. That's for call-out's sake. Plus I got those nice EMP towers that really clarify the issue. But yeah, like this skull, I had to make all that from scratch, and and I started making it, and it just got really big. And what I learned from the last one is it's better to start from the inside and work your way out. So this one I made big enough to have a wraith on the inside. Then I just sort of built the face, because that part's really hard to get right. And then I built on top of it to make it look more round, to make it look more like a skull. Then I finished out the back part. Oh yeah, there's another ghost down there. Yeah, the vehicle spawns are not set in stone yet, except for those scorpions. See, they'd be overpowered if you set them there all the time. But I got the EMP towers next to them specifically so that, you know, you can disable those scorpions, because you can't do it with a plasma pistol in Halo 2. That started in Halo 3. So the only way to EMP them is to use some map gadgets. But, you know, still, these aren't, I don't have a trigger for these yet. I'm gonna make something probably on the outside here that you can shoot. And that'll disable the scorpions temporarily. And, you know, right now I've just been working on building some cover out here with these rocks.
Yeah, not being much of a competitive player. I remember when I was working on the first 5-base Dominion map, I had set things pretty much where I thought that they would work, and then you came in and looked at it, and you were looking at it from more of a player perspective, and you pointed out things like sight lines and
Yeah.
cover and a lot of stuff that I had overlooked. And
Yeah, you got to be careful. It's the people with sniper rifles will use that to their advantage. I mean, that's why I told you to grab a binary rifle. And if you've got two people in forge mode, it's better, you know, because that binary rifle, when you're zoomed in, you can see the line of sight. And you know,
well, it's got that laser beam
that shows you where it's aiming. And I grabbed one of those, and I sat in some towers, and I looked out the windows with that. And he was on the outside, and you could see, yeah, if you've got a sniper rifle, you can see all this, you can see all that.
So I better put a tree here or a rock there, or
or something,
or move this over.
Okay.
It's just all those subtle little things that.
Yeah, this is what I was talking about with the overlapping gravity volumes. You see, I don't go all the way to the top of this volume, but I go to the top of that area, and then once I get up here, the gravity is such that I can start falling. So this is going to be tricky, because you got to be able to jump down there. So these can't overlap, because if you jump too high, you'll get thrown up in there. Maybe I can use some smaller ones. And it can't be too low either, because then you can control your descent. It'll be too easy to grab that thing. But I just love the gravity volumes, and I love the stuff you can do with them. Yeah, there was another map I made in Halo 3. There was just a little itty bitty room with a whole bunch of man cannons and gravity lifts in it, because Star Driver has this thing about how there's no zero gravity combat in Halo. And I'm not going to say his grievance is totally unfounded, but I don't see zero gravity combat showing up in matchmaking. Although in Halo 5 it wouldn't be that bad, because you've got the thruster pack by default. There's also stuff like ground pound, the sprint, etc.
Well, I brought it up in the forums early in Halo 3, which was when I started going into the forums. And needless to say, I met a lot of resistance there. And so I just kind of let it drop for a while. And then I read in one of the books, I don't remember which one, might have been First Strike or
it was probably Full of Reach.
It could be. Yeah, because
their first mission.
Well, they just mentioned in the book that all Marines, not just Spartans, but all Marines have to undergo zero gravity combat training. Every single one. So they all know how to do it.
Yeah.
They have to know how to do it. They are trained in zero gravity combat. And at that point, I said, if that's what happens, then there ought to at least be some sort of matchmaking game where it's zero gravity. And as these games progress, I mean, in Halo 4, the thruster pack is actually a thruster pack. And in Halo 5, they have retained it, and it's now a Spartan ability. It's not equipment that you pick up.
Right.
And so, and that thruster pack was not something that was designed for you to zip around with on the ground.
Yeah.
It was designed for use in zero gravity. And it's not like zero gravity doesn't exist at all in gaming.
In fact, in Halo 3, there was a map that had a room with not zero gravity but reduced gravity in the center. That was, I want to say it was called Orbital, if that was the one I'm thinking of.
Anchor 9, I think.
That was a reach map.
Oh, okay.
And no, that one didn't have a room like that.
You talk about the one where there was like a rocket launcher.
Yeah, there was a rocket launcher in the room, and there was reduced gravity all around. Oops. Killed by the Guardians. I wonder who the hell the Guardians are. Because they've got a lot of explaining to do.
Well, maybe we'll find out in Halo 5.
Well, we better find out in Halo 5. Because the game's called Halo 5 Guardians.
Yeah.
These Guardians are assholes, you know. I mean, you're just trying to walk around and then boom.
Yeah.
Now, that was all the way from, God, back in well, since ever, really.
Yeah.
Any map that had boundaries. Remember...
Why did I die? It was the Guardians.
Yeah. Yeah, the first time I never gave that much thought until that Finding the Secret of Sandtrap forum. Remember that?
Yeah.
God. For those of you who don't know, on Bungie.net there was...
probably the longest running, most commented in forum ever.
Yeah, it's hundreds of pages long. It was called Finding the Secret of Sandtrap. And some people, for some reason, they got the idea that they were convinced that there was some secret on that map, and everyone was discussing what it was and how to find it and stuff, and that thread went on forever, and eventually, at some point throughout that, somebody asked, who are the Guardians? And because, when you walk outside the boundaries of that map, you get killed by the Guardians. And on that map, there's these big-ass spires that are staring down at you from all the way around, and people go, oh, well, those are the Guardians. And he goes, no, somebody said, no, the Guardians are something else, something this, something that. And again, I think somebody from Bungie came in eventually and said that they were aliens, and they're not Forerunners, and they're not Covenant either.
Yeah.
And at that time, I thought they were humans. No, I don't think that. Well, no, actually, I thought the Forerunners were humans, which at the time they were. This was back in Halo 3, and at that time, the Forerunners were going to be an ancient civilization of humans, and they were the ones who built the Halos, etc. But they changed that for Halo 4 for obvious reasons, because they wanted to expand it. They wanted to make the Foreigners a separate race, and that's what that whole the Foreigner trilogy of books that they came out with. It's pretty much to clarify that there was a difference and who the foreigners were, you know, at that point in their ecumene. I don't know if this makes it easier or harder.
Well, we're not dropping.
Well, yeah, but I just gotta sit in this little area right here. Then I can drop. Well, you know, I took away that other rock that made it kind of easier to sit on it. More importantly, does it look like smoke? I have to make them a lot taller. But if you use your imagination, of course you could use your imagination even if there was nothing here. Yeah, I don't know. This is going to be tricky. Definitely going to be tricky. Because they're fucking square.
Yeah.
You know, I just tried. Grab one. See, there's an option right there for shape. Change the shape. Cylinder, box.
Cylinder and box.
Yeah, but
if they have sphere, then
no. Look. Okay.
okay.
Box, cylinder, box, cylinder. I could work with cylinder.
Huh.
But why'd they even put that option in there?
Well, wait a minute. Put it on cylinder, then place it and see if it still remains a block.
Yeah, it still remains a block. Increase the radius. That doesn't do anything. It just makes it.
Yeah, the radius of a box.
No, it's in cylinder. But you go to box. You're supposed to be able to increase the width and shape and shit, but it doesn't work that way. It's a little annoying. Don't they know I'm trying to create an atmosphere here? Of course, they probably never imagined someone would use it in this manner. But, you know, the last map had gravity volumes, this map can have gravity volumes.
Well, see, that's the other thing. The last thing that the developers should be doing is trying to imagine how the players are going to use their stuff.
Yeah, they should just give us as many options as they possibly can. You know, but, I don't know who it is that
Because
they...
obviously, there's no way that they could ever imagine how we're going to use the stuff. They can only say, well, you know, we're going to put this in here to enable you to do this. And then, you know, just assume that whatever they wanted you to do with it is probably going to be the last thing that they...
I don't know. I'm going to get that figured out. Might just have to leave it and think on it for a while. Come down here and fork this area a little bit more. I don't know. I don't know if that's too many trees or not enough trees. Gotta put some more rocks out here. Work on this cover a little bit more. For one thing, that scorpion can shoot this side of the island.
Now, see, folks, secretly I'm laughing because there's this other game that I've been playing lately called Space Engineers, and right now it's what they call a sandbox game, and what that means, it's pretty much like Forge, where you've got parts and pieces that you use to create things similar to what's happening here, and I've got this world that I've been working on, and I've been working on it now for, I'd say, close to 3 months. And I have been admonished for perhaps putting too much effort into it. He's been saying, it's done, it's done. You should just.
Who, me?
Yes, you.
When?
You. When? Every time I go. Every time you
No.
see me, there's. You're. You should be. You should leave that alone now. It's.
No. Yeah. No.
Well, maybe
that
you
is
don't
not.
see it that way. That's how. That's how it comes
I
out.
never said anything like that. All I said was that you should open it up to the public now. Because you've been working on that map for like 500 hours, which is enough time to complete Skyrim twice. And, you're in here and you keep saying, oh, I'm going to make it so that you can open it up, and host a game and have other people come in here and use it, and all I said was that
he thinks I'm doing all the stuff that these other people could be doing if they had a chance to play it.
well, when you started, you said you were just gonna make, a welcome center and a little base, and then you were gonna start with that one thing, and you remember what was going on when you first started making that world? They were having a contest. The Keen Software House, who makes the game, were having a contest to design a level. Okay, and you're just supposed to design a level. That was all the contest required. Okay, so about 300 hours later, you're still working on the same thing, and you've got 3 levels that you're building into it, and you've worked on 2 so far.
Well, when they announced the contest, um, I don't think I heard about the contest right when they announced it, but there were some conditions to what you could enter into the contest, and frankly, the time constraint was such that there was no way that I could meet the requirements in time to make a submission. And so, as it turns out, the contest didn't go the way that they thought it was going to go, because a lot of the submissions were
Well, they picked some. They got way more submissions, I think, than they were expecting, and it was taking them too long.
well, I don't think the submissions were quite what they were looking for. I don't even know who won, because there was a lot of controversy over the voting, for one thing.
Yeah,
And
like they picked. Yeah, they were supposed to pick one themselves, but then they couldn't decide, so they had the fans vote on them, and there was like 40 maps to try. They couldn't even narrow it down to just 10. They had like a ton of maps, and everyone was going, "That's bullshit, man. We don't have time to play test all these for you." And there was a time limit too.
Yeah, and then what some people were doing, because anybody could vote, anybody at all. So some people, they like had Twitch channels and YouTube channels and things like that with followers, and they just go out and say, hey, log on to this website and vote for my map. And there are these people's friends that are, sure, okay, so they just go in and put in a vote, and without ever even seeing the map. And some other people had some heartburn with that, of course, and so this thing went back and forth, and it was a mess, and the prize was a video card,
Graphics card. Yeah.
a graphics card. Granted, a really nice one, which anybody would love to win, but I mean, it wasn't like. Well, I mean, the prize was that would be a level for the game, so you'd get some recognition for that, and then you also would win this graphics card. and uh, but I didn't. I would have loved to have the card and everything, but
You just
there were,
wanted to design a level because
yeah,
the ones that people were designing were sort of
a lot of mini games.
well, yeah, not only that, but they were more uh, uh, more oriented towards fighting
Yeah,
and building
yeah.
ships and stuff. And you wanted to make something that made mining
Well, the
the
game is
focus.
called Space Engineers, and you build, you engineer things. That's the game. You engineer, you make things that work and do things, and really, to me, the shooting and fighting and all of that stuff is kind of like a side thing. Um, and I put it this way: in the game, um, when your character first spawns, uh, they have in their possession by default three items. Um, they have a or I think it's four. You have a welder, which you use to build stuff. You have four things: a welder. You have a grinder, which you use to take things apart. You have a hand drill, which you use to mine with, and you have a rifle. So, out of those four things, you got three things that you need for engineering that are your basic default tools. Every character gets. Every character spawns with those, and then there's just one thing for fighting, and it's the only uh, weapon in the game to this day that you actually can carry on your person, and it's a rifle. There's no pistols. There's no anything else like that. So it's a engineering and mining game. And any time that you're doing mining, I guess the developers just figured any time that you're doing mining, you're going to need to protect yourself from people that are going to want to take the stuff that you're mining. And so that's why they gave you a gun. But um, a lot of the people that are really into the game, um, uh, being gamers, I guess, I don't know, but the guns, especially for ships, big guns, uh, and things that go boom are a really big part of the game. And I wanted to the world that I'm working on is strictly mining oriented. This first level, I do not have any sort of big weapons in the game at all. Um, in subsequent worlds that are related to this, they'll have to be in there because they will be more or less public games, and other people are going to come in, and they're going to have weapons. So that's just the way it is. But yeah, for this contest, um, there were very few entries um, that had anything to do with mining and engineering, and a lot of them had to do with uh, um, shooting and fighting. And I'm I don't know what happened with that contest. Like I said, I don't know who won, and I'm not really interested. I just went back to work on what I'm doing, and which is the nice thing about that game because it's in alpha and there is no game. All it is sandbox, and you can go in there and do whatever you want. And unlike Halo, um, the developers of that game have completely opened it up to modding. Modding is even a feature in the game. You can use a program like Maya or Blender, and you can make objects that will work in the game. And yeah, so if there's something that you want in a game and it's not there, and you have the knowledge, skill, and technology, you can just make your own and stick it in the game, and you can also make it available to anyone else who sees it and thinks it's cool. They can stick it in their game, and that's a big thing with space engineers, is that you can go into what they call the workshop. You can see things that other people have made, and if you find them appealing, you just download them, and then they're in your game. And if your game is open to friends or the public, if they come into your game and they don't have that mod, it automatically downloads for them so that they have it, and then they have it when they go off and do their own thing. And it's really exciting in that respect. And but I say all that to say that I understand that when you're doing something like this, it is easy to get carried away. Um, uh, in this game, you can only get so carried away because there's only so much you can do. You can only work with the pieces they give you, and under the constraints that the developers have come up with. Pardon me. However, in Space Engineers, you could really get carried away, and sometimes while I'm in there doing what I'm doing, I even say to myself, have I gone too far? And of course, the answer is always no.
Yeah.
There's always something else I can do. And that's because they keep putting more stuff in it. The developers themselves keep putting stuff in the games. There are things that I did, that I engineered to be able to do something, and then a week later, the developers put something in the game to do something that I tried to do. Now it's just part of the game, and instead of doing it the way that I did it, I could just take their thing and do it. And that opens up even more possibilities. And it's just hard keeping up. That and what the modding community puts out there, it's
Right. Right.
see, I'm sitting here right now. We are approaching. We're getting pretty close to the end of this broadcast.
Which was supposed to be about Halo.
Yes. Well, about Halo, about modding.
No, not about modding.
No, not modding, forging. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I've been kind of distracted here, trying to build some more stuff on this island. Yeah, because that scorpion could shoot right over there.
Yeah, we never talked about some of the issues that in the Halo forums. There is a community of people that forge maps for competitive type play, and those people spend a lot of time carefully designing their maps.
Yeah, there's something they call flow.
Yeah.
They say the map has to have good flow, and by which, what they really mean is they built artificial routes, artificial encounters into the game. Which obviously you do have to make routes into the game because it's a big part of forging. Like for example here on the skull, I could have just made the skull, but then it would have looked nice. But if there's no way to get up there onto it, you can't use most of that space. So I had to come in and add this little route later. and another route there to get up there. Some routes around here on that. And that's just goes to building your map, you know. But all I did was, with this, like I said, I started with the face and I built onto it because I wanted it to have a certain look before I went forward with it. The same goes on the ship here. I mean, I could make the outside and make it look nice, but you also got to think about how the players are going to get up there. Like right now, there's only two ways to get onto the ship. The back here, there's a jump up, and the front, there's a much easier jump up. Because you can just jump right up there onto this little ledge, and then you're on board. Back here, it's kind of the sneaky jump up. You jump on this thing, you jump on that thing, and then you got to crouch. It's a little bit harder, and there's a little bit more risk. But there was a similar jump up I made on Mutiny Island. It was even riskier because it was right next to the edge of the map. It's not that hard. You jump up there, you crouch under this thing, and there you go. It's a little bit safer from the scorpions. Of course, those scorpions won't be there all the time. I'm going to make something to script, some button you push that spawns them into the game. And there'll be something else that'll either that same button will be a toggle where you can despawn them, which means that you'll blow them up, or there'll be something probably out here somewhere, like maybe right here where that thing is, a little button or something that you can shoot to make these EMP towers go off that can temporarily disable them. Same goes for the Hornet up there and all this stuff. It won't be there all the time.
But see, the controversy was which started in Reach was now he just explained that in this map, because it's Halo 2, there are no jetpacks. So getting on and off that ship is it depends on your ability to be able to make those jumps.
For now, there'll also be gravity lifts that shoot you up there later. Right. Or you can always fly in with a Banshee.
Okay. Now, if this map was in Reach or Halo 4, then if you had a jetpack, then you wouldn't need to do all that jumping, because you had this thing on your back that could just carry you in there. And if you had so carefully made this map to make getting on and off that ship that difficult, and then somebody shows up with a jetpack, then your map is ruined. That's it. It just, after all that work to make it that way, and then someone just comes on with a jetpack and at the push of a button.
Yeah, which that always seemed kind of silly to me, a thing to complain about, because of course they're going to use a jetpack, first of all. I mean, it's Halo 4, there's jetpacks, they're going to get used. Really ought to just be able to accept that. Okay, yeah, that's a lot better.
Because you talked, when you were showing your screenshots, you were talking about, well, yeah, you can climb up this way, or you can use a jetpack.
Yeah.
You know?
And I see, because I knew from the beginning that there was going to be people using jetpacks, so I forged my map accordingly. And, not only is it built for jetpacks, but there's all those gravity volumes where you can start flying around, and you don't even need a jetpack. Oh, also I should mention that also affects vehicles. Like, if you're in a Ghost and you go into one of those areas, that Ghost will start flying and it'll float all the way to the top of the area where they overlap. And you can use that on that map, Mutiny Island. You can use that to drive a Ghost from the surface of the water all the way up to the top of that ship. It's not easy, but you can do it. I've done it, and of course I've never done it with people shooting at me. But yeah, that's just another thing that can happen. And so, like, for me, jetpacks are not an issue. But for people who spend, weeks and weeks making a small 4v4 player or Slayer type map, that's gonna, those are the people who are really bothered by this jetpack thing.
Oh, all the forum comments about people trying to create a map that where you couldn't use a jetpack.
well,
And
which
I'm like, how do you do that?
you can't. Well, you make
Unless
it.
it's inside.
Yeah, if it's inside and there's no room I
Yeah.
mean, but at that point, I mean, if your map is so restrictive that you can't use a jetpack, what the fuck can you use? Nothing. None of your armor abilities are going to do you any good in a map like that. Uh, Except maybe hard lay shield, but yeah. See, in Reach it wasn't so bad uh, because it wasn't personal loadouts. In
Right.
Halo 4, if you just wanted a jetpack, you just had one.
Right.
Uh, of course, people complained about it in Reach too, but Forge wasn't as popular at that time, I don't think. Even though, like I said, most of the stuff that's great about Forge today was pioneered in Reach. Uh, but yeah, this thing that they complained about called flow, I don't really understand that. I mean, flow. If there's certain routes that you're taking in the map and you're taking them every time, and it doesn't even occur to you to try anything new, that's a map that's already broken, in my opinion. I mean, a good map, there should be, you should be able to spend thousands and thousands of hours playing it and always be finding different ways to go around it.
And you take any map that the developers put out there for multiplayer, just pick one, and you look at again, people that win in the game. The first thing they do is try to find out what the exploits are, and that's where you got all these guys that were so great at this the skill jumping, and they're going around on the edges of the map, and they're jumping up on places where um, the developers didn't think that you were going to be able to get to those spots, yet there they were. And this is before jetpacks and stuff like that. That was a skill.
Yeah, that was
then.
considered skill to be able to jump around and do that shit.
And so jetpacks come along and made that easier. But then the thing was, oh yeah, well I can jetpack to a spot on the map where nobody else can get to me, and then I can just start shooting people. Well,
Yeah.
so you get a jetpack and a sniper rifle, and you go up to this little tiny little ledge somewhere where nobody can climb up there and get in, and supposedly you can dominate the map, but isn't that exactly what you would do?
Yeah. I mean, it shouldn't be so easy to do it, though. Of course, that's not so much the jetpack's fault. The sniper rifle is equally to blame, but the jetpack's what gets all the flack for it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, uh, and that's the thing. The jetpack by itself is not the flow breaking mechanic. Or the map breaking mechanic, I should say. It's when you get that and a rocket launcher and a sniper rifle, then you can start doing some damage. And I agree that you shouldn't be able to use one armor ability and bring the whole map to a standstill, but honestly, I would put the blame on the people that designed the map, not the people that designed the jetpack. I mean, if you make a map, it's your responsibility to make it work. Again, one thing I don't have to worry about here in this map, because again it's Halo 2, but in Halo 5 you've got your thruster pack, and you've also got that clamor. So that thing that we were talking about a second ago of finding jump ups on maps, which to this day are built into the Halo 2 anniversary remakes. The same jump ups are built into the map that have always been there. And somehow that's considered extremely skillful to be able to do that, and yet using a jetpack is not. Because the jetpack, well, I guess because the jetpack is easier. For some reason, people think anything that's easy isn't skillful, and yet using the sniper rifle is apparently very skillful.
See, I don't see any difference. Like for instance, in this map, there's no jetpacks, but and so you've got these routes that are more or less planned that people are going to use to get around and but there's a hornet on the map,
Yeah.
so it's like, you get in that, and all of a sudden there's no such thing as a route anymore.
Yeah. There's a
And
hornet and 2 banshees on the map.
yeah, so it's like route smelt.
Yeah. But again, those people, they didn't have any vehicles on their maps, I bet. I mean,
Probably
the
not.
people that are whining about it are people who think the whole game is just, battle rifle, sticky grenade,
Yeah.
and at most sprint. Let's see what I do with this one. Yeah, that hornet, that's going to be interesting to see how it affects the gameplay on this map. So you can... Yeah, I don't think these scorpions are too overpowered. I think they're just right. Huh. That wasn't supposed to happen. Have to take that into consideration. At first I was a little worried about them being too powerful because they're scorpions. Now I think they're fine. And then I got some guns up here. I do miss the auto turrets. There was one thing that from Dominion that I liked, because you didn't have to man them yourself. You can put turrets on a map like this, and I have these removable ones here because that wraith can shoot this whole front part of the ship. I don't know if you can actually hit that thing with the wraith or not, but stationary guns, people very rarely use those in my opinion. Or in my experience, I should say. Even these removable ones, you almost never see somebody sitting on there and using it. See it sometimes, a little bit on Standoff is the only map I ever saw where people would use that turret. There's a turret on top of the base.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And sometimes people would get on there and use that. But that's only, well, it kind of works on that map because of the way it's designed.
Yeah, it was hard to shoot back. Usually the way you died was if someone got around behind you and because your radar wouldn't be working. So unless you had a headset and you could kind of hear where stuff was, and you could hear somebody coming up behind you. Even somebody on the other side of the map with a sniper or good aim with a BR, because you were kind of well protected at that turn. So
well, you were really far away, but
yeah,
there were sniper rifles. Were there snipers? No, there was no snipers on that map. Not
well,
until
that must have
heavies.
been it then.
There were no snipers, but there was a Spartan laser. And yeah,
Yeah,
there
that
was,
would work.
yeah, but it was in the middle, and only if your team actually had control over it. And
But someone on the other side of the map could take you out.
with a battle rifle because you're not moving.
Yeah.
But
And so you had to have enough sense to, if that first shot missed, and it hit your cover, then you'd know that somebody had a bead on you.
Well, you could get off of that thing before anybody actually kills you.
Right.
The other thing was there were fusion coils right next to it. People could shoot those, and that I don't think it was enough to kill you if you were using the turret. The island's really coming along here. Got enough cover so that I really only want the scorpions to be effective around here in this watery area. And I think I've accomplished that. Now my question is, are these...
The fog effect is... I hadn't really noticed how well it worked, but it's
yeah, it's kind of nice.
Actually is foggy.
Okay, so those palm trees aren't getting in the way of the wraith, so that's something. In fact, what I think I might want to do is put some more palm trees out there, because you can shoot through the can shoot through the leaves. You can't shoot through the
trunk.
trunk. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. I was thinking stem, but it's not a stem. It's a trunk. Yeah, you can't shoot through the trunk.